going on, everybody? It's Lester from Cannabis Wiki. Welcome to Weed Talks, where we talk about the cannabis industry, shows, events, the community, mental health awareness, health, and wellness. That being said, it gives us the greatest pleasure to have Cannabis Wiki's first and very special Weed Talk special guest. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a friend, she's a supporter, she's a pillar. She's a cannabis advocate with over 100,000 plus followers on Instagram, over 2 million followers on Facebook. She is the author of #1 international bestseller, Ignite Your Inner Warrior. She's been awarded 2019 Cannabis Influencer of the Year at Cannabis. She is the one, the only Jacqui.
Hey.
Welcome.
Wow. Thanks. I'm good.
It's not a wow.
That was a lot.
It is what you are. I don't think, I don't know. How comfortable are you with the title influencer?
I hate it. That's what I am, though. That's the space but I don't like it anymore. #influencer. I think of people taking pictures of their food and people getting free stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a negative now. In the beginning, it was exciting. I'm an influencer. And now it's kind of a negative. And I don't know what else to call myself. I don't know.
Well, me, myself, I agree. I'm not a fan of it only for the fact that to look into bits of your life, you're way, way more than that.
Thank you. Recently, someone said it sort of cheapens the whole story, the whole brand, because anyone can be an influencer as long as you have a phone.
That's what you said, right?
And I've done a lot more than just that. So,
which is far. I find that I find you very passionate. I find you very truthful, which is probably the hardest 1-2 combo that you could have in a person.
Yeah, one emotional hot mess. That's how I do it. I speak in hashtags. And I always put hot mess because, yeah, I guess I've been a liar most of my life. And I find it easier to be completely honest than you lose the guilt and the shame and you don't have to remember what you said to who. Just tell the truth. And a lot of times you got to lose your ego, right? Because I'm telling the truth at a lot of things that are really embarrassing. And just like, why would you lie that you're the greatest? You say you're the smartest, the fastest, whatever, because you're embarrassed or uncomfortable of what the truth is. So I lead with the truth, which puts me in kind of an awkward situation a lot of times.
That was going to be my next question. How do you find that? Because I would say majority of the people aren't truthful.
And the majority are not. But I am learning, and this is difficult, and it comes up all the time. Just because, whether what we believe or what we've been taught, just because so-and-so and so-and-so have lied to me or are lying publicly or are lying a lot, doesn't really mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're bad people. And that's a lot for me because I'm like, that person lied to me. I'm never talking to them again.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why people lie, and ego and mental health issues and anxiety and whatever. And I get it because I was that person. So I get it. And for the first time in my life as well, I'm empathize, like I'm understanding. Mm-hmm. And I still make mistakes. And just recently I flew off the handle about something and I shouldn't have. I have to understand where it's coming from, why they lie, where it's all, because we all, I say I'm the most truthful person ever. I still lie all the time. I lie about my age and I say I'm 50 because then they go, damn, you look good. I'm only 46, but I say 50 all the time. She's hot. 50.
No joke though. But it is hard to decipher the people that sit across from us most times. Mm-hmm. And it's not any easier with this cannabis being the gold rush that it is.
Mm-hmm. This industry has created everyone trying to be the first, the fastest, the best, #1. So there is a lot of noise and there is a lot of lying, manipulating and going around it. And because, the gold rush, the green rush, whatever you want to call it, it's people are passionate. It's also their money. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot to do with health and wellness. This whole industry has a lot to do with health, and at least my journey with cannabis is about health and wellness. And the legacy market or black market, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's not really built on the most level. We're not all just cute farmers sowing seeds. Like, there's a lot.
It's the truth. It's kind of, it may be the fine defining line that separates the industry and that shaded part. Where, not to say that everything's on the up and up on the industry, but you pretty much see everything that's coming towards you. Where in the shaded area, it's a lot harder to see what's coming.
Right. Now, I do like that in our home anyways, weed is what do you call it? Is money, is currency, like the trade stuff. Right. So like I've taken some things from the black market, gray market, legacy, whatever we're calling it today, into our moving forward, and how I like that I trade weed for eggs. I traded weed for a cottage for the weekend. I like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we were talking briefly a few minutes ago, just before our introduction, about like where do people stand, and you got to pick a side, and it's really uncomfortable. It's really hard to celebrate weed culture, and like I'm calling it weed because that's what everyone calls it. I know the politically correct is cannabis. I don't do a lot of things that are politically correct, and that's for real. In public and in private, right. I don't do a lot of things that are politically correct. So we call it weed, and the weed culture is the activists I find really angry, really mad. And rightfully so. There's a lot to be angry about, and there's a lot to be mad. But can we still be kind? Can we still be honest? Can we still try and get along? Right. Like my quote I say everywhere, there's room for all of us. There's room, I
don't know if anybody understands how big that is, that you open up your table. I hope they don't think that is such a small square table.
No. And when I say that, and when I'm talking about it, I speak with a lot of smaller groups and indigenous families and communities, and I speak with a lot of women in weed, and we don't all get along, and we're not all best friends, but that's fine. You're still invited to my table. Like what I mean by that is I don't know everything. I'm no expert, and I'm not claiming to be any expert in this industry at all. And I felt a lot of pressure when I won the Cannabis Award to be some form of expert. And I'm not an expert. I'm sharing my journey and my ups and downs. And that table I built, is really for me to learn off of. Like, I'm just a sponge to everyone. I want to hear everyone's side of this story. And unfortunately, the hardcore or serious activists that not all of them, but most, that we celebrate and know and love, don't want to have any part of my table. Because I'm a culture vulture, I'm an influencer, I have fake boobs. Are we allowed to say that?
You definitely are. I have a lot of fake here on the couch to speak freely.
I have a lot of fake parts, but that doesn't mean I don't have a lot of real parts and real things to offer this community. I am not, I say this too, I'm not the new face of cannabis, I'm just a different face of cannabis. And I think there's room for all of us, really, truly I do. And the ones that are sticking knives in my back, you're more than welcome to come to my table. Can you remove the knife? And I'll pull you up a chair.
So we can talk a little better.
Yes. And I have misstepped and misspoken throughout all this as well, and created an enemy or two or five. And I have nothing but, if I'm truly being honest with my journey with cannabis, I'm full of forgiveness and love. Full. And I apologize. And I may not ever get apologies back, and that's fine. I know where I stand at all this, and that, I am a welcomed place that the cannabis industry, if they were smart, some of these people could use this voice and this message. And, I get in a lot of places. A lot of doors are open for me. And I don't know what the hell to do when I'm in there. Right. So maybe if some of these people, I'll open the freaking door and you guys show up.
We have our door open for you, specifically, because I'm an Instagram follower of yours. The journey, I found it interesting. At the very first, maybe like everybody else, I looked at the pictures. They were intriguing. But then I saw the four little letters that said more, which opened up more than a paragraph of your words. And that is really what made me a follower. To see that you're real, to see that you're sharing yourself as open as you do, which is probably the hardest thing a human could do, is to open themselves up to everybody, to be criticized, to be ridiculed. And yet, in this industry, I see you everywhere. You are probably one of the hardest working ladies out there.
I try and be everywhere. I try and support everybody. I try and support the little market, the mom and pop brand, to the big. I have partnered with an LP in Alberta, Canaleaf. I'm their official influencer, part of their team. And in order to stay within C45, within regulations and compliance and whatever, I've become one of the owners. And that's how we have to work around it.
Right.
But since doing that doesn't mean I grow my own. I support the hashtag grow your own. I'm all involved in that. I am pretty much everywhere, and that doesn't mean that I don't fully believe, each part has a place. There is a place and a space for the LPs, the suits, the corporate, and there is still a space for the markets and the people the legacy, the people that have been doing it forever and ever. And I'm really hurt that I'm not welcome at their table, and it really, really hurts me. And then everyone's like, "Oh, who gives a whatever?" I am that. When everyone says 0 Fs and 0 whatever, I give a lot of Fs, a lot to everybody.
And they should understand that, because you put it out there, and someone that does put out as much as you do, they should understand that just because you're putting out does not mean that your heart is a rock.
Right.
That there is a real person here.
Right. And it's shameful when I hear people that run these festivals or events and they say, "Oh, you can't come because of the way you look," or "that person doesn't want you to come because you said this one time." Well, I say a lot of things, and if you didn't, if you knew me then, you don't know me now. And I think a lot would change if we got off social media and we sat down and we sat across from my table, which they're more than welcome to come to. Right. I started these high teas, and then it started to get all petty that so-and-so wasn't invited and so-and-so wasn't. Everyone was invited. I live in a small house, though. I mean, I can only have 10 to 12 ladies at a time.
Tell us a little bit about this, the high tea. What was that actually?
So the very first high tea I had was, because I am not an expert in this, and I have extreme social anxiety, whether people believe that or not. The loud laugh and the look and the whatever, I think is sort of because I'm shivering in my boots. Right? It's just a persona. So I thought, well, have them come to my home, my space. I'm much better in my home. I'll serve a high tea. We'll have, like appetizer orders, little sandwiches, whatever, all infused teas and drinks. But women that I respect, or that I'm inspired by, or just curious about, from all different parts of the cannabis industry.
That sounds interesting.
And they all said yes. And I was shocked with scheduling whatever. People came, and some people came that weren't from Ontario and they were just so excited to come. And I have a girlfriend who is a geneticist and infused food, and she got on board and started preparing actual, really nice foods, and we elevated our whole high tea. And more interesting ladies came, and inspiring ladies. But then as word got out and it got bigger, it lost what it was about. It was really supposed to be a casual way for women that have not everything in common. We have something in common, which was cannabis, and to have conversations, and for me to understand different points of view. For me, I had the ladies from Cannabis Amnesty and a bunch of ladies from Vancouver that are doing all kinds of different charitable things, children with autism, epilepsy. I liked opening my space to learn about all of that. Plus, I have this massive following. I built this literally on my ass, literally like on my looks. I built this, and it feels cheap and cheesy. And as I've evolved and changed it's 7 years ago that I started this. I wanted to use this following and use this voice for something that I'm really passionate about and feel good about. Right. So the high tea was a great way to get all different people in, create some great content, and to show the world all different parts of not only the cannabis space, but me, as I've changed and I've evolved. So, I mean, a lot of things I do are selfish. Being truthful here. Right? I just like, it was great content. So, really it was. And then, as most things, it gets big, it gets out of hand. There was ways for it to become a money-making thing, so other ladies decided to take it over and do their own things with it. Right. And I'm not about that. The book Ignite Your Inner Warrior is about my struggles, and I'm not the person I am today. Like I wasn't that person. It's taken me a long time to become this person. Serious obstacles. I've lived on the streets. I've been homeless. First day of university, I was raped. There's a lot of stuff. My family. When I was early teens, I grew up in Detroit. So like people like. They just don't know. People just don't know by the plastic, over-filtered Snapchat society we live in. Right. They just don't know. So I often will let them have that. Okay, well, they just don't know. And so let's have an opportunity to talk, and let's try and create something great together.
You're incredible. You're incredible. So what was it like? So all this is before cannabis in your younger days. How did you cope?
Drugs. But I was really pretty. I was abusing drugs and alcohol and my body my entire life. And no one ever noticed or offered help or said maybe you shouldn't or said no. I have spent my entire life with yes men. I've never been told no, ever, for anything. And I had to, and like, oh, poor baby, it was that I had to start doing that to myself. And literally when the cannabis journey started, I quit cold turkey, all pharmaceuticals. I was on anxiety meds, depression, anxiety, PTSD. I have Crohn's. Before that, it was any drug I could get. I was a dancer. I wasn't a dancer. I was a stripper. Why do I say dancer? I did not know how to dance worth a freaking whatever. That was no dancing.
We'll say it's like cannabis and weed.
Yes, exactly. It's just a stripper. And that whole lifestyle as well. I was abusing drugs. I was abusing alcohol. I was abusing myself. And I got pregnant, got married. I'm skipping through a whole bunch. Horrific marriage. Maybe he's not a bad guy now, looking at it now that I've been married to someone else for 10 years. Looking back, I was a mess. I was just horrible. I was just scratching at life, just scratching by.
That's one of the hardest things in life is to actually look at ourselves.
Oh, my goodness.
We're also busy looking to talk about somebody else rather than to look at ourselves.
Yeah. So recently I posted something and somebody jumped in and said, how dare they, and da-da-da-da, and gave a big whatever. And I thought, right then and there, I responded, and I repeated it a million times. I've been writing it down, and I'm thinking about it a lot, that how can we ask of others what we can't even do ourselves? Like, we expect so many people, and we're rolling our eyes and being all shady and whatever, but then so-and-so, and we're like, like, really?
Right?
Really? Like, I'm starting to see things so differently. And I'm 46, and I don't know. And then I read things I wrote a long time ago, and I see things I'm like, who was that girl? Like, who could cannabis have really, because really the only thing that has changed in my life is I'm pharma-free, still drink, I'm pharma-free, and I've added cannabis. And now all of this has changed. The way I look at things, the way I look at myself, what I expect from people, what I expect of myself. I also expect a lot more of myself. I think I know better. Like, there's some petty stuff and there's noise. There's a lot of nonsense in the industry.
Yeah,
God, I misstep often. And I freaking know better. And that's so, I'm really and I'm the first to apologize. Because I'm mad and embarrassed with how I act sometimes. Not all the time, sometimes. I'm passionate. And it comes, good. This comes from a good place. And I could talk your ear off for 4 hours about how passionate I am and how people are wronging me, whatever.
No, but that's pretty much the reasons why you're here is because you are the way you are. You're very impactful. I found you very impactful.
Which is a lot of pressure too. And every so often my ego, when I misstep and I think, how dare that person fight with me? Do they know what I could do? And then I think, oh, you cheeky, you wouldn't do shit, you cheeky bitch. You're not gonna do anything. Like, so I there's a lot of in numbers. There's a lot of power, and also these voting and number one this and number one that. That's why I don't really get behind all that stuff, because if it's on sheer numbers, I win.
Right.
Who else do you know with that? Like, and I don't think that's fair. There's a lot of really cool people doing amazing things that I don't need to be a part of, or that I shouldn't be waving like the queen in the pictures. You know, my stupid peace sign or whatever. Everyone's like, was she a model? I was, for real. Like, my bills were paid by being a real live model way before Instagram. So when I get heat and flack about the way I pose or the way I look or the way whatever, long before Instagram, that's how I earned my living. Right. Before and after stripping. Dancing. Oh God, I can't even believe I say that. Like, please.
So tell me a little bit about Crohn's.
So after I had my second son, I got sick. Just was generally unwell. And they asked me to journal some food, like your food diaries, like gut health, what sets you off. And it was everything or nothing. I could eat the same thing one day. And so this was around 2000. I was diagnosed with Crohn's after a lot of misdiagnosed. Same with my anxiety and depression. It was right around the same sort of time I was diagnosed with lots of things. They actually diagnosed me bipolar. I was on a drug called Seroquel, made me gain 3 pounds a week, and I also had suicidal tendencies like you wouldn't believe. Like, I was afraid of myself.
Just side effects
of that drug. I quit it, but was in therapy and was seeing other specialists and realized that I was misdiagnosed. I'm just a passionate person. Truly. I am. And I didn't think I needed drugs to medicate that. But so my Crohn's journey has been difficult. Also, I'm not good at taking pills. This is funny because I'm not good at taking pills that are prescribed, but if I go and buy them on the streets, I can have a whole bottle of those gone tomorrow. Just like water. You tell me I gotta drink 6 bottles of water a day, I cannot do that. But 3 bottles of wine, I can have that done in an hour. Like, I'm a mess. So the Crohn's thing, I would take medication and then not as I was supposed to. And then I was also dieting all the time and trying to look and be a certain way, which is really bad, would set me into terrible flares. My nails don't grow anymore because of the lack of nutrients and vitamins and everything that my body doesn't absorb. Right. My hair falls out. I don't sleep properly. I have firing pains in my hands and feet all the time. So not just when I'm wearing the stripper heels. And I always wondered, like, what? Am I just a lazy stripper? But I had Crohn's. And I was really sick. And my marriage in the past, we would go out for dinner and I'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom right away. And I'm like, but I can't use a public washroom. I had weird anxiety and weird quirks that they were misdiagnosed or we just ignored. Right. And it was Crohn's. Crohn's was a really, really difficult, when I first found out, and then the few years afterwards, it was also a really embarrassing, uncomfortable. I can see why people stay home and don't go to dinner parties and don't go to clubs where you're drinking and socializing. And so even though it's a digestive disease, I'm sure was a big part of when I started developing severe social anxiety. Mm-hmm. I think it was because I look a certain way and I'm rotten. Like, it's not a good thing. It's an uncomfortable topic and it's embarrassing. Right. I talk about suppositories all the time. I make my own. I also get there's a compounding bunch of guys, really cool pharmacists, Hybrid Farms. They make me suppositories to treat my Crohn's, cannabis, they're CBD and THC suppositories, which help tremendously, which are life-changing. And when I talk about it, everyone's like, gets all embarrassed and gets awkward. Like, it's a good thing. So there are lots of cool things happening in the world around Crohn's. And it was difficult to hide. It was uncomfortable and it caused a lot of shame and embarrassment. But now I just talk about it all the time like it's nothing. Like, I try and bring it up as much as I can, because there's so many people that are sitting at home and are suffering and are like, when I say to someone, oh yeah, I spilled it, don't worry, I have something, I have a change of clothes in the car. Right. They'll say, oh, do you have Crohn's? Because they have a change of clothes in the car too. Right. It's a horrific disease, and there's like no cure.
Crippling.
And it's and mortifying. But with diet, nutrition, and cannabis, it's really, really manageable and life-changing the last 2 years. And not having to, I mean, I'm still sick. Even coming here, I like things are scheduled at a certain time, and I know when I should eat and when I shouldn't. And it takes over your whole life. And then that snowballed into, I guess I was sort of preempt to a lot depression. And that was crazy, actually, how the Crohn's and depression came about, and getting divorced and to where I am now. It's just...
That's hard. It's a lot going on at what time?
There's a lot, yeah.
So you're a lot stronger than anybody really knows.
Well, I think I'm also a mom of boys and a wife, and women in weed, we are strong. We are, and it's a loud voice, and it's a female plant. I think we should be strong. We should be vocal. And I think we could be more like a choir instead of back and forth at each other. Right. And I believe there is a hierarchy, which I don't believe everyone in the cannabis space believes. I respect my elders. I listen to I really, truly believe we need to listen to the true knowledgeable people that were here way before us doing this. Right. And I would invite them to my table, but I would sit down at theirs anytime and respect and listen, which there isn't a lot of. There's a lot of, I mean, you guys know as a media person that
we do.
There's a lot of noise.
We definitely do. But there's not enough people like you. There isn't. Your position is very challenging. To navigate, as we were talking about earlier, the industry and what we'll call the darker shader side, to be able to fill young ladies, young men, because I don't want to exclusive, like I'm all about the power of women, but at the same time, I was affected by your story, just because you're real. So
thank you.
It's huge. It's huge, and everybody needs it. Your hashtag, be kind. I steal it. I use it because I believe in it.
Just be kind. And does that not mean, like, when I say that, be kind, of course, every so often I want to slap a bitch. But I would never. I wouldn't. Because that is not kind. Try and understand where they're coming from and what's going on and how it happened. Right. And I use humor in a lot, and I'm fucking funny.
You are. Hands down, no problem.
I might not look funny, I might look odd or whatever, but I'm funny. And I use humor a lot, and I try and get a balanced playing field for all of us. And like, we can have all these difficult conversations. There's room for all of us, but we don't have to be mean. You don't have to, just because she said this doesn't mean she's this. Just because she did this doesn't mean, or he, that they're like, we're human.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the best I can, and that's what I expect from other people. And I have called people out on Twitter a lot when they say things, or they post a picture of me dressed in some scantily clad whatever and say, how good is this for the industry? But how the way I'm dressed or what I'm wearing could be bad for the industry?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, how about how you're just being mean to me? I think that's kind of bad for the industry.
Exactly.
And then the industry. Anyone in business, you want to pay your bills. That's why you go into business. What is a business for? Yeah. To earn money, to earn a living. Exactly. So I get a lot of that. You're just in it for the whatever. I'm like, well, I'm actually in it for health and wellness reasons. And then it sort of snowballed into my job, why shouldn't I get paid for a lot of stuff I do is charitable. A ton of the stuff I do is just for content. Feed that beast. There's over 2 million followers there. Yeah. That I treat it like a store. If you come to my store tomorrow and there's nothing new, you're probably not going to come back.
Right.
So, as you know, content.
It is everything. It is everything.
So, and not everyone's going to agree with my content. Not everyone's going to agree with me. But I challenge those efforts. They say they don't like me. Why? Am I too funny? Was I too cute? Did I give you too much? What did I... Really?
I think people are faster to,
Judge?
yes, and way more scared to actually sit across from you and have a conversation, even if it is something you both disagree on.
When someone here said today that they were intimidated, like I am just like, I don't know what to do. Like I bought a panda head the other day. Did you see that on one of my posts?
That was awesome.
I'm gonna start going like, will that make me less intimidating? Because I don't know.
I thought that was the most
And
funny.
I want an expert. Like I don't know why it would be intimidating. Like maybe I need to remove my boobs. I don't know because I am. It's weird. It's weird how other people perceive me.
Well, all I could say is that you're strong, you're passionate, you're honest, and I guess those are things to fear.
Isn't that nuts?
It is.
When you said that, don't you think that's nuts?
It is. It's backwards. Society's going backwards, unfortunately. Everybody wants fast technology and the good old-fashioned way of a handshake, looking somebody in the eye.
I have done there's been some dirty dealings in this industry as well. Mm-hmm. And I can still be friends with those people. Like right. There's a lot of greed and there's a lot of stuff going on. Some people do bad things in business, but doesn't mean they're a bad person. And I can still see that. Right. But they think, okay, we had bad business, we're done. She's saying that, and I don't feel that way. I feel that, we're separating business from personal here. Like mm-hmm. there's a lot of, and people are climbing their way and clawing their way or whatever they're doing. And I don't actually think they're bad people. There's just, but maybe they think they're bad. I don't know. I'm starting to think, maybe do they think they're bad people? And that's why they stay away from me? Or is it because I don't know. And even the people because believe me, people confide in me and come to me with all kinds of stuff. I still hold their secrets, even though which is when I wrote the book, I'm like, I'm going to share secrets. But then I changed the story halfway through. And when I went to first draft, I was like, okay, I'm just going to share my secrets. This is about me. I'm holding everyone else's secrets, whether they deserve me to or not. Mm-hmm. Be kind.
Right.
Why do you want to tear someone else down to build yourself up?
Definitely. It's an easy way to go.
Like the growers, just because you grow a beautiful plant and you grow whatever, doesn't mean Tom, Dick, and Harry don't grow nice plants. I see that there's room for all of us. Be kind. Like, definitely. Learn from each other.
Definitely. But you have to have a big heart for that. To actually accept something that you don't understand or you may not know.
But isn't it about peace and love? And isn't it supposed to be?
Well, you have to indulge in the cannabis first and have that experience and actually have your own relationship with the cannabis plant. And once you do have that relationship with the cannabis plant, it's so much easier to have a relationship with the next person, especially if they're involved with the cannabis plant.
I'm pretty new to smoking cannabis. I've used CBD for a long time, and I tried it in high school. I probably didn't inhale. Just a loser. Oh, God. Anyhow, and I remember my grandparents talking about the people that danced all the time and the fun people smoked wacky tobacco. And I'm like, Title. I know, like, and I was like, oh, why don't we all smoke wacky tobacco then? Like, why? And so if it's that, and then Bob Marley, and the Rastafarian, everyone's so chill and calm, and it's a peaceful movement, and why isn't it that way? Because money's come into play? Is that why? I always turn and ask the question.
Yeah, no.
So why isn't it?
It's just because we're into something that's brand new, and it definitely does have a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Which I have more questions all the time. Like I take a course or a class or I go to an event, you think I would have my questions answered. I just leave with more questions all the time, which is good.
Well, there's a plethora of questions to be asked because the stigma's been for so long that nobody really wanted to indulge in it. It's funny. I tried growing this year with my mom.
I love that. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I would start germinating and she would take care of the plant. She didn't know that she had to take it out of the small little potter.
The next step.
So our first go wasn't too good, so we're waiting until the next season until we try it again. But it's a relationship I never thought I would have.
So I have a 21-year-old son, very different than I am. I don't know where he came from. We're complete opposites. but we're growing cannabis together. We're smoking cannabis together. We're sitting outside together, and he's of the generation, in the basement playing video games till your eyes fall out of your head.
Right.
Cannabis is creating all kinds of great beautiful relationships for me. The relationship I have with my husband has evolved immensely. I can't even believe the way. Plus, I'll tell you quickly a story. When he moved in, it's a funny one, and I've said it before. Maybe you've heard it. He moved. We were amalgamating our families, his family, my family. We moved into a house together with our children, and he brought a bong and put it on top of the kitchen on the refrigerator in the kitchen. And he was really proud of it. And the way he walks around like Humpty Dumpty or like a Paddington Bear, whatever hell. He's always happy. He's always high. So he brings his bong in and he puts it up. And I lost my mind. I'm like, okay, we can't live together. It's done. You're a loser. I'm not. If you think that's going to be, it was ridiculous. And this is 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And I freaked out. I was like, this can never, like, how can, and then I was like, what am I doing with a stoner? And I was so against it. And now I think, oh my God, the poor guy, I have told him he stinks and he's a loser and he's whatever for years. And then his parents were the ones that actually converted me. And they're in their 70s. They introduced CBD oil. They started telling me about all their friends with Crohn's that were using CBD oil and the stuff that.
So was that your introduction?
Yeah, it was a 70-plus-year-old man from Arizona. He brought me some CBD oil, and my father-in-law, and I didn't try it which is also why I'm loud and proud about this cannabis thing, because I don't believe a lot of stuff. I'm very like it's hokey pokey or let's see or let me try it, and the CBD worked. I quit my pharmaceuticals cold turkey, didn't tell anyone. After much of my own investigation, I started using CBD. I added some THC, a little, like a tiny 1-to-1, like a little bit, not enough to do much, but to help transition of no pharmaceuticals. Because I wasn't telling anyone, because I also didn't know if I would fail and I would go back to it or more or what I would be doing. So I sweated that out for 3 months and with just cannabis. And it worked. And they were right. And I am now. I'm not a person to go, they were right, you're right, I'm wrong. I am now. I have no problem. I don't know why. I was, I guess, ego or whatever. Yeah. Which also with the be kind, I never would have done that before. Like, I don't admit that I was wrong. I was just like, whatever. And
so what was it like those 3 weeks, that transition?
3 months.
It was 3 months, sorry.
Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I was helping myself or if I was hurting myself. I had heard you never quit cold turkey, you never stop. I was on so much. Plus, I wasn't taking anything the way you were supposed to. I was taking, 1 is good, 10 must be better. So I was, a mess. And up to about 9 pills. And I started to feel better, not cured of anything, but much better. But I also started to write and journal better, like more introspective, more thoughtful. I was just a more kind, caring during that thing. I started to look at my husband and my children differently, started to look at the people around me differently. And then I remembered that Bob Marley quote about, it reveals yourself to you. Once you take the plant, you reveal, once you smoke the plant, you reveal yourself. And I started to know what he meant and what the poets and what the people way before that were writing about cannabis, weed, ganja, what they meant. So my friends in Jamaica are like, nobody knows what cannabis is, Jacqui. Stop calling it cannabis. So lately I've been posting ganja girl, ganja whatever.
Right.
So anyhow, I started to not only feel better, but everything was changing. I was sleeping better. I was eating better. I was relating to life and the people around me better. I have extreme anxiety, where I say, like, I order my groceries, I get them delivered. I have such a hard time going to a grocery store. And you wouldn't think it. If you follow me on social media, you would I'm everywhere and woo, and waving and hugging. And that takes days of downtime and days of preparation. So when someone says, oh, why weren't you there? And I feel horrible. If I didn't have enough prep time, I can't do it. So, and that was why I was on so many meds. And then I wondered how that was going to happen, how I was still going to do that without them. But cannabis has helped, definitely. And initially, initially. The cannabis community was very welcoming. They were very excited, and everyone was excited to teach me things and show me things and welcome me with open arms.
Right.
And then once a few arms were open, then the cannabis community was kind of like, wait, why is this girl being so celebrated? Where did she come from? Who is she?
Right.
So, and that's why I like to do these. I like to get a chance to just spout on about who I really am. And those Instagram posts, they annoy me too. And hashtag influencers so dumb. Like, and yes, I know I have duck lips. And yes, I know I look stupid. And look at that plastic whatever. And she's always wearing wigs. I got eyes. I see that too. Somebody messaged me and said I look like a baboon. And I looked at the picture. I'm like, you're right, I do. But then they started posting it under every picture. And I'm like, hey. Those are some beautiful photos. And I don't look like a baboon in those ones. I'll go with you on the other ones. Like, I can poke fun and whatever.
Right.
Like, because it's true. I did look like a baboon in the picture.
I highly doubt that. That may be just an opinion of some.
Whatever. We're just chatting.
Yeah, definitely.
I like this.
Yeah, I definitely wanted you to have a platform to be able to speak because
I hope, so giving me an opportunity to speak, I hope that, because you guys are a lot of places now, you say I'm everywhere, you guys are everywhere too, and getting a lot more places and going to be more. I hope people watching this or seeing this, or I hope on your travels, when my name comes up or when a seed is, like I'm planting a seed of kindness. Like, I am not what people think, or I am. They think great things,
Yeah.
No, which they don't. So,
that's true.
You know, I get a rough go, and there are some really great voices in the cannabis space that message me privately all the time and say, I don't know why you get a bad rap, and I wish I need more public of that. My DMs are full of beautiful, loud, powerful voices, but they just won't do it publicly. Big ass names just won't do it publicly. I mean, I don't know.
I think if you keep going on the path that you're going, that will definitely change. So, Jacqui, what's new and up and coming for 2020?
I'm traveling around with Hempfest. My next stop is Calgary, and they're doing their first Hempfest Cannabis Cup, and they've partnered with Keystone Labs, and they're testing and whatever, and all the different extractions, different strains. There's an edibles component to it, and I love Hempfest. I mean, I really, really like them. They've introduced me to a lot of cool people, and they're doing a lot of fun things. They're also, Hempfest is more like, not like Lyft or all the big giant. They're more like a kinder, gentler. Yeah, they came to my hometown, and it was a rough go because there was a lot of rules and regulations. There was a lot of things that couldn't be done within Hamilton itself. The municipality was really tight. It was right when they're closing down all the dispensaries, and they're doing so there was just it was really hard for them. It was their toughest show, unfortunately.
Right.
Normally, it's a great it's really fun, and they have tons of vendors and tons of people, and the speakers are amazing and everything. And I like the Hempfest family. I love, and when they bring on someone new, they have the chef from Bon Appetit coming now as part of the Hempfest family. It's like it's almost like they pick my brain without doing it. They pick someone that is going to be cool, is going to be kind, is going to be a little flashy. Like, I like a little, I like that craziness, this sort of eccentric. I think I am eccentric. I have lots of weird quirks. I like that. And they pick amazing people to be part of the family and treat each other really well. Everyone's really nice. And they believe there's room for all of us, definitely. And they get the odd Twitter, they don't get in them, but some things they say or some things that happen, there ends up a Twitter war or Twitter whatever, and they always are the first to, okay, you're right, we're wrong, we're sorry. They're awesome, because they know they're awesome, they know they're great, and they're coming from a really good place of education and inclusivity. So I'm really, really excited to be part of them. Cannaleaf as well is the LP that I work with, going to Alberta to to be with them, and they have a female master grower, and they're having a female master grower team.
Nice.
So I like being behind that.
Nice.
And that's what I don't know, I could say, what am I doing? Tons every day. Every day. And I don't know I have other people that take care of my schedule and stuff, and every day is really exciting. And every day that I'm lucky enough to get into a lot of mainstream media and onto a lot of mainstream stuff to talk about cannabis.
Right.
So I think I mean, it's really great, and I don't take it lightly. And I never go as a place of an expert. Like, I'm not going to tell you how it is and how it has to be. There's lots of voices and lots of, like I said, it's like a choir.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
I don't take any of this lightly. I also, with my space being so loud, I hope the things I say, I'm not hurting. I hope I will misstep. I will make mistakes. I'm human. And people just want to, teach me, show me. I respect that. I love it. And I'll do better next time. And that's what I hope my space is. Really, really what hope I'm using my voice and space for.
Well, I don't know, guys. I don't know how you could not like the lady. She's real. She's just real. And take a minute. Maybe you should read her book.
Yeah.
You might get to know her a little bit better and take the time and find out a little bit more about yourself. Jacqui?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So, before we jump off anywhere, what is something that everybody doesn't know about Jacqui Charles?
What don't they know? I'm freaking human. The plastic part, I might look like a Barbie doll, but I'm a real person. Your words hurt me like words hurt you. Mm-hmm. I bleed red just like everyone else. I might not always be politically correct. My words are like calling it weed, I'm being disrespectful to someone. Like calling it the black market, I'm being disrespectful. Apparently saying someone's your spirit animal is being racist. Like, it all comes from a good place, and their words, it's up to us to put the power behind them or to put that behind them. I mean, my words are coming from a good place.
I agree. Guys, this has been our time with the most wonderful Jacqui Childs. I thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. A lot.
This is Lester for Cannabis Wiki. Look out for more. We're definitely going to have this incredible, talented lady back on our couch.
I'd love to come back.
Just look out for it. We'll see you soon.